Hello, everyone. Taser2 here, and welcome back to the Lads Podcast. This is episode 8, and I am your host, Taylor House, and this is my co host.
Jerry Miller, hi, how you doing?
Hey, you did it. You actually did it this time. So, we are here, and we didn't really have many topics. It's been a really crazy couple of weeks. That's why I couldn't record this. I was setting up something with streamer ToxyCT, but that fell through. And then I've been working like a lot. I've been grinding. I've been grinding, as
Man
the
here
kids
has a
say.
job. Whoa.
So yeah, that's why I've only been streaming or posting like 30-second videos and then tweeting. That's where the channel's been. So yeah, it's just kind of been put to the side while I do some other things. So, but I do have a couple of things. First one, I just want to get deep with you for a second.
We're getting deep here, guys.
So, so speaking of working, I've been working in quite a bit. And I realized something. When you do something for long enough, you break it down into like these units.
hmm
And when you start doing that with people, it gets really bad. So let me give you a for instance. Let's say you're on like like let's say you're working in a store and somebody leaves something behind. How much would you care?
How much would I care? It depends on how close you are with the person, I would say, or how
A stranger.
valuable. Yeah, like if it's a stranger, you might report it. Like it's to like I don't know someone that
Well,
hey,
the
some
idea
person left
is
something.
if somebody leaves something,
hmm
what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to take it up to customer service, and then a member of the custodial staff returns it to its location.
Right.
They just lose the item. They don't get it back. So that's the bare minimum you could do. Now, how much would you care that they lost that? I feel like that once you start really, work really, once you're working in these environments, you break it down into these units, and people don't become people anymore, which is kind of degrading. I call it degrading morality.
I
So
see what you mean. It's like how you're no longer viewing the customers as people. You're just seeing them as customers, kind of thing.
yeah, just more units.
Right.
So you gotta keep. So that's my one tip for people who are looking to start working or already started working is keep keep your mental be mentally aware of what you're doing. It's my that's my one message.
Right, because if you start doing it as just a job, then you lose touch with like what you're actually doing. You're actually interacting with people.
Another thing, like I said, I've been working on a lot of things for I've been working on a lot of things with the channel and then just other stuff, other projects. For example, I'm working on one coding project and one engineering project. So I think I told you about one or the other, maybe both.
Maybe. It was probably a while ago, so refresh
So
me?
the first one I am making a wrist-mounted launcher to shoot single shot paintball, and it's pretty cool. I'm hoping to make a video on it soon. I just have to custom order springs that are powerful enough to launch, but not so strong that you can't pull them back.
Right. Sounds interesting though. I'd very
Or the
much like to enjoy
or
that,
the
watching that.
alternative. The alternative is air, compressed air,
hmm
which is it will be a little bit bigger, but theoretically you could get it small enough. Because I just have one HPA tank and it's the ones you use for paintball, so they're kind of bulky.
hmm
But you can mount them on your back and they're relatively, covert. But you can get ones that are like expensive and they're pretty small. You could fit I want to say like you can definitely fit the current one in the backpack, but the ones they get pretty small. Like you could almost fit them in your pocket. Like they're about the size of a water bottle, maybe smaller. They're like the size of a water bottle, but thinner
hmm
and a bit longer.
Pretty nice.
So theoretically, you could get it down to that size, but I'm not paying $2,000 for an air tank. So that's the other way. But the most covert and cost-effective option would be to use springs. which is why I'm looking into custom ordering springs.
Right. Sounds reasonable.
So there should be a video on that. Keep in mind I'm not the hacksmith, so I don't have access to a shop and I can custom make everything. I just have the garage and a 3D printer. That's the most expensive piece of equipment I have. 3D printer. But it should be fun. The second thing I'm working on is working on a assistant, a personal assistant.
Mhm.
So the personal assistant, right now it's codenamed Jarvis, but I'll probably rename it because
Yeah, this is the one you told me about. I remember this one.
I don't want to get hit with a claim. But Jarvis is interesting so far. I've got him to I'm able to say words and I'm able to say certain things. He doesn't have natural language processing, not yet. Which is natural language processing is a thing where it's like you can say different words and they mean the same thing. You're not taking straight commands. So like right now, my straight command for searching the web is Jarvis search this. Jarvis search object. While other people might say other things like search for this or they'll just ask the question, that sort of thing. Or show me this, that sort of thing.
Right.
So that's one of the big things. The other things is just getting the features working. I got the basic formula down. And then the third hurdle is porting it onto like a smaller device because right now all I have is just straight code and it's on a virtual machine in my computer. So the idea is to get it loaded onto a Raspberry Pi.
Cool.
So those are the projects I'm working on. That's why nothing's working,
Those sound
nothing's happening.
those sound pretty involved projects you
Yeah,
got going.
they're all pretty involved, and that's why I haven't been doing the podcast. I haven't been doing I did do one Tales from the Fog. Like my normal series are kind of going to the wayside because I'm doing these big projects, and I'm also grinding at work. So, do you got anything going on that you want to talk
Anything
about,
going on?
or any
Let's see.
concepts,
Let's
any
see.
theories?
Any concepts or theories
Like,
on
well,
um
like I was talking about, like the whole degrading morality thing. Do you have anything like that?
anything like that, like degrading morale? I don't not really. I haven't had any experience with it or anything like that. No. I mean, to some degree, I guess. Um, I I I think you can in some way experience that if you have a big enough friend group. Trying to manage your friends and all, kind of. I can
Oh
see
yeah, I
that
see that.
turning into a similar situation where you're trying to make time for everyone or get around to talking to everyone kind of thing, but you just see it as a chore towards the end of it.
Yeah, I get that.
Right.
It's just
But
like a really interesting concept that I happened to notice.
yeah, it's interesting. I think it's pretty common, I guess. A lot of people probably experience that. It seems to be like an easier way to manage a bigger thing than you're used to, because most of the time, most people, unless they have a job, aren't interacting with like a lot of people every day. And when you start, experiencing something like that, you have to kind of get into a different mindset of you're not going to know all these people personally,
Yeah.
so you do kind of have to manage them all as something more something more easily manageable
Something
than
less
people.
complex than a human being.
Right.
So talking about or circling back, school closed again.
Right. I remember it was, what was that, like Sunday was when we got the call, last Sunday
Yeah,
night.
and I was about to say I was about to go. Hey, I think it's about time I head in because I've been doing virtual this whole time. Like
Yeah, and that's when it closed.
like
Oh,
I
that's
I
unfortunate.
I saw Charlie. I saw Charlie and he was like, "Hey, when you going in?" I was like, "Oh no, but soon, hopefully." Well, so much for that.
Yeah, we were at the store, me and my dad, and we were just sitting in the car waiting for my mom. And his phone started going off, and then he listened to it, and he's like, "Oh, that was school. They're closed." I was like, "Oh, nice."
Yeah, that's a big F in the chat right there.
Right. My interactive media teacher at school tech, he was like, we were talking about that past week before that happened. We were talking about how we were thinking it was unlikely for schools to close because of how adamant the superintendent was to keep schools open. And then for them to suddenly close everything, even the teachers were shocked. Like they were saying that they had been told to keep going as planned, that everyone would be coming back and all, and then they
Yeah,
just
they
closed
they
it.
they were just hoping that
Right.
that would come back, and it did not.
It didn't. It went the opposite of that.
So, in other news, Cyberpunk got delayed again,
Oh, that's unfortunate.
another month. Now, here's the interesting thing about this delay. This delay happened while about I think when they announced it was like November, it was like early November. The game went gold. That which mean yeah, it was 2 weeks before it was supposed to launch on November 10th. So so the game went gold, which means that they're printing discs for it. So it was supposed to come out, but then they were like, we delayed it so much that we have to start optimizing it for next gen. Because back when the initial release date was announced, this was before next gen was supposed to come out. So then they could just patch it in. But now they're like, wait, we gotta optimize it for next gen because all the next gen users are gonna be sad because their games don't run in high fidelity 120 FPS 4K. So now we gotta optimize it. It's just
That's really unfortunate. They even had the discs printed, you said, and
yeah. Well, here's the thing about like the way it used to be. I mean, saying that a game went gold, which means it's gonna be launched, is kind of empty because what it what it what a game going gold usually means is it's printed. You can't really go back and patch it. But now with the power of the internet and digital stuff, everything being digital, now you can. So that's kind of like an empty thing. Like back in the day, it didn't. Their day one patches weren't a thing. The game was either good or it was bad, and there's no going back. So that's the gaming news. I mean, it's been a minute since we talked.
it has been a minute,
I mean, I think the last time we talked was like,
a while ago. Like we haven't actually talked in a while.
yeah, it was
Probably
just,
since the last podcast, to be honest.
yeah, that was probably the last one to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Thanksgiving's coming up. We can
Oh
talk
yeah,
about that.
Turkey Day.
Turkey Day, Thanks dinner, Thanksgiving,
Thanks dinner.
Thanks dinner. That one wasn't mine. I can't take credit,
Oh,
but I
I
like
thought
it.
you just like messed up in
No,
saying
Thanks
that.
dinner. um, but Thanksgiving. How are your family planning on doing Thanksgiving this year?
I think it's just us and then maybe my grandfather because like
Hmm.
my grandfather doesn't go anywhere, so it's like
Hmm.
so it's safe.
Right.
I think that there might be like one or two other people, but it's not going to be that many this year because I have a pretty classical Thanksgiving. Like you know you get the turkey, you eat the turkey with your family, have some awkward conversation, you know the drill.
Right.
Thanksgiving was or not Thanksgiving, Christmas. I'm talking about Christmas, but before Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So there's people that have their Christmas trees up already, and that makes me upset because Christmas doesn't start until the day after Thanksgiving. That's just how it is, and you can't tell me any different.
I was driving through the town that we live at, which I will not name because we're
The
not
the
going to
the
dox
the
ourselves.
city we live
Uh,
in.
the city we live in, even better. But in the outskirts of the city we live in, I saw plenty of Christmas lights, and I was kind of surprised. Like they even had
Heretics.
they had snowman decorations
Heretics.
out, the lights, the snowflakes, and I was surprised, but I wasn't. Like
Heretics.
how
Put
long
that
until
Santa
Thanksgiving?
hat away. You got one
When
week.
is
Not even one
when?
week. You got
One
like
week. We have
5 days. Not even
5 days.
not even a week.
I was a friend of mine had also said they had started decorating, but
Heretic.
the
Extradite
reasoning
them.
they
Do
the
it.
reasoning they gave was actually pretty valid.
Oh, okay.
The weather recently has been exceptionally nice, but we don't know
True.
that's going
True.
to
True.
stay
True.
that way. So they decided to start decorating earlier because the weather has been nice.
You know what? That's true. That's true.
Right.
That's
But
fair.
besides that, I can kind of agree with you that normally if weather weren't an issue, it would be too early.
Yeah, look, I'm like day after Thanksgiving. I'm okay replacing my fedora with my Santa hat and just vibing. But
But any before
but
that,
but even like the even like a couple of days before that. No, stop. You think of
until
you,
midnight
you think
after
about getting a
Thanksgiving.
tray. Tray. I meant tree. You think about getting a tree. No, stop.
Stop.
Don't. No. Stop that.
As we're talking about this right now, I can hear a Christmas ad in the other room.
Yes. There's Christmas music on Saturday because I had an 8-hour shift at work
Mhm.
at store in city at store in city we live in. And there's just Christmas music. I was like,
That's
I heard like a saxophone, and I was like, ooh, they got some jazz playing, and I realized it was Christmas music,
oh man, that's gotta suck. Like, oh,
and I'm like, heresy. Where can I, where can I find this heresy and eliminate it? There's no Thanksgiving songs except that one turkey song, Adam Sandler, I think.
oh yeah, I know that one. I had a teacher that tried to play us Thanksgiving music once, and the class was like, "This is a thing. This is a genre of music."
Wait, is there actually Thanksgiving music other than the
Apparently
Adam
there
Sandler one?
is. Apparently there is. I don't know any of them, but apparently there is.
Wow.
I know, quite a shocker. I was shocked too, as was the rest of our class, who promptly vetoed that decision.
Yeah. Um. Ooh, I forgot to put on my blue light reflecting glasses. Anyone who watches the stream at twitch.tv/Tazaro2 has seen that I have blue light filter glasses, and I got them
Ooh,
recently
so fancy.
because I work on the computer all the time. And by the time I'm finished with my computer, I have a headache and I am very tired. I don't know what it is, but I when I put on these glasses, I lose my will. I lose my willpower a lot slower.
That's good. That's how you know they're working.
So yeah, that's how I know they work. Okay, before we got on that music tangent, I was thinking about something else,
Well,
but now I've lost it.
oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, you do hate to see it and hear it.
You hate to experience it.
You hate to live it.
You hate.
Oh,
You
I know
hate.
what I was thinking of. I'm literally holding them right now. I have like 4 SD cards on my desk from trying to image or get an image of my Jarvis OS because I have a custom built OS for it for the Jarvis project,
Mm-hmm.
and I have like 4 SD cards on my desk that I've attempted to image onto, but every time I booted them into the Raspberry Pi, it was like no.
It rejected them all.
Yeah. So the thing about the Raspberry Pi, it's microelectronics, right? So it doesn't have like a UI to tell you that certain things are okay or not.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have that. It just boots whatever you load onto it.
Or
So
doesn't.
so if it yeah, it just does it or it doesn't. So I don't know if my custom OS doesn't work for it or something. I might just have to load a Raspbian image on it and build it back up, which is their OS for it.
Mm-hmm.
Thing is, mine is small. It takes up like of a Raspberry Pi CPU, it would take up like maybe 10%, which is really good, or not even 10 or 15%, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
On my computer with a or not my computer, my virtual machine, which was only using one of my cores, my i5 processor, and 1 GB of RAM. It was using 148 megabytes of memory, and then like I think it used 9% of that one core,
Wow.
which was impressive. So now I had to run the Raspbian, which hopefully they fixed it, but it used to be a complete mess. It would just crash randomly when I
Mm.
first got my uh, Raspbian thing. My Raspberry Pi, not Raspbian. So that's me. I'm doing a bunch of nerd stuff as usual.
uh, nerd. Doing cool projects and all, making the world a better place. Haha.
Making the world a better place. What? When was I doing that? Unlike I've been streaming for charity for 3 years or anything. By the way, if you don't know, I stream for Extra Life. Maybe you don't know. Maybe you haven't seen my channel ever and you have no idea what I do. And you're just coming through this from like Spotify or Apple Podcasts now. By the way, we have Apple Podcasts now.
I remember you said that on your story. You seemed
Yeah,
very happy about it.
I was happy about it because Apple doesn't. Here's the thing about Apple Podcast. Apple Podcasts usually takes around. First of all, you got to be big enough, which means we're big enough, which is really weird because
What?
for audio listeners, they I have an average audience of about 2, and I get listeners from all over the place. I think I posted this on Twitter. I get people from like Finland and Hungary. Really weird.
That's interesting.
Here, let me see if I can pull it up. So so the I guess we're big enough for Apple.
That's fascinating to think
So
about.
now if you have an iPhone, you can just go on Apple Podcasts and you can even review us, which is what you can't do on the
We could totally use
Spotify.
reviews.
We
We could
could
totally
use
use
we
that.
could. Yeah, so 72% of
Ooh,
our listeners are from the United States, 66 being from Texas, and 33% from Maryland, which is really interesting. Um,
wow.
we got 11% from Turkey, 5% from Singapore, 5% from Hungary, and 5% from Finland. And you can do regions, but I'm gonna completely obliterate these names. Oh, actually, some of them are pretty famous. Oh, I know them. We got 100% of the listeners from Istanbul, 100% of the listeners from Singapore Community Development Council. That's weird. That is interesting, and 100% from Budapest, and then this other Finnish city or region that I don't know.
Oh.
And this is just the demographics for the audio listeners. Apparently 100% male,
Hmm,
and 100% of them are 18 to 22 years old. And most of our listeners are from Spotify.
that's interesting.
So that's a oh, wait. 18 to 22 years old on Spotify only. Never mind. Okay. So maybe there's older ones. But we're on Apple Podcasts. That's the point of this whole thing.
That's really cool.
Did I save the RSS link? Yes. So if you went went to Apple Podcasts, you could find the Labs, a proper podcast.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's
I
your
like that.
little demographics for you.
A little bit of statistics we got in there in this episode.
Yeah, because I am a statistics nerd. Like numbers is just the best way to quantify things, which I know sounds pretty obvious, but yeah, that is
Yeah,
the
it is true.
that that is why I do that. That's why I do the COVID chart, which I haven't updated in forever,
Oh
and
right, yeah, we haven't talked about that in a bit.
I haven't updated it
Right.
because I've been grinding. Honestly, I'm just gonna listen to whatever Twitter or whoever tells me, Governor Hogan.
Hmm.
So yeah, fun and interactive. Other things I've been
Yeah.
doing. Again, if you watch me on twitch.tv/Tazaro2, you will know that I have started a Minecraft SMP server, which is survival multiplayer, with Angel Tribe, which is another streamer. And that's going pretty well. I'll be streaming it tonight. So that's your little shout out.
Wait, by the time you publish this video tonight,
But
might have been tomorrow.
yeah, uh, I might be able to finish it, but it's 4 o'clock now,
True.
so maybe not. I'll search. I'll try to get it through. This will
Cool.
definitely be a shorter one as we are completely winging it because
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
the guests fell through and I've been so busy.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised when you asked me this morning. You were like, "Hey, we haven't done the podcast." I was like, "Oh right, podcast."
Yeah, you know that thing we do?
Yeah, I think we do occasionally. Yeah.
Yeah, so we have to get back on that. Speaking of which,
Yeah.
my brother Aiden,
Hmm.
he was asking if we could do one episode with him, and
We could do that.
it was just political, and it was the only political episode
We could do that.
because he was talking about we were having a discussion about some new laws that were being suggested and like or not suggested but like introduced, people that are like or not people, laws that are, yeah, introduced, I guess is the word for them. New laws that they're not laws yet, but they're like they're suggestions.
Is the word a bill?
A bill, thank you.
There you go. Remember the song. Remember the
I
song
am
that
a
taught
bill.
us. There you go.
I am a bill on Capitol Hill.
That song copyrighted. We're gonna get a strike for
The
singing that.
Schoolhouse Rock, don't strike me. Is Schoolhouse Rock gonna strike me? They become enough of a public figure that I think I think their songs have just become like common knowledge. I wonder if any of them are in the public domain.
That'd be interesting. We could look into that.
Rock. Is Schoolhouse Rock in the public domain? Disney. It's Disney.
It's owned by Disney?
Daddy Disney, don't kill me.
Oh no, we're doomed. We're doomed.
Disney's gonna strike me down and region restrict this podcast. They'll have like FBI agents come to my house to be like, you sang Schoolhouse Rock on your podcast, and
How dare you?
we're gonna take you away and kidnap you, and you will live in Disney jail. They'll take me to Disney World and put me in Disney jail. It'll just be the they'll take me through It's a Small World and throw me into a back room and
No!
waterboard me.
Oh no, the worst of fates. The worst.
The back room. Yes, a jail is in the back room of It's a Small World.
Obviously. I mean, where else would it be?
Yeah, or in the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, where
Oh
they actually
gosh.
have jail cells. Now, do you say Caribbean or Caribbean?
Let's see. Because I think I say it differently when I'm referring to the movie and the place. I say Pirates of the Caribbean because that's how I've always heard it. But the place I call it the Caribbean.
Mm. Yeah,
Oh,
I
and my
feel like
alarm's going off.
I'm in the same way. Or if you're saying like if you're talking about the what do you call it? Big ship cruise ships. If we're talking about
Big ship.
the cruise ship company, the Royal Caribbean. Like I
Uh,
pronounce it the
yeah, I
Royal
call that
Caribbean, not
Caribbean
the
too.
Royal Caribbean,
Right,
because that's how I hear it on the commercial. It's the Royal Caribbean.
right.
So we actually made it to 35 minutes, so I guess
Wow.
surprisingly. So I guess
Nice.
we can
Might be shorter
start.
than that due to I don't know, audio like gap
Yeah.
cuts and all, but probably
Yeah.
this bit that
But I
we're
guess
probably
we
gonna
could
cut.
start on I have a
I have
question.
a question. Yeah,
Yeah.
good. 'Cause- hang on, I had one. I had one. What was it? What was it? Right, I've got it.
Awesome.
Awesome.
So, does that
I'm
mean you
not
want to
saying
start
that
for
again.
once?
I can. Do you
It's
want me
just a
to?
meme at this point that you forget what
Yeah, it's a
you
meme that I
forget your
come into this
question.
without a question. Yeah.
All right.
Um,
So,
but anyway, for once, I have a question.
what is your question?
What's one thing you absolutely loved in your childhood that looking back on you find cringy as just cringy, just awful?
Oh, I actually know this. So, YouTubers, right?
Oh?
So you so in we are part of the generation that grew up with YouTube.
Hmm.
When we were like I think YouTube turned 10 when I was like 12 or something like that.
Right.
When was YouTube made?
A long time ago.
Less than 20 years ago, I know that.
Right. I got the first video recommended in my feed once and a few weeks ago and I was like,
2005.
"Oh, that's when it was, right?"
2005. Okay. Yeah, wasn't isn't the first video named My Trip at the Zoo or something like that?
Yes, and it was the guy with the elephant.
Yeah.
What a
Yeah,
cool
so it was
video.
made in 2005. So I was 3 when YouTube was made.
I was two.
So we grew up with YouTube. So I started with when I was younger. I started with a Minecraft when I got into gaming.
Mhm.
YouTube was like the jam. I was I was watching a lot of Minecraft YouTubers. I'm talking about like Sunday, Captain Sparkles, Dan TDM. I actually
Oh
posted a
gosh.
posted a tweet this afternoon on Dan TDM's tweet. I was replying to him and I go, "Man, what have you been doing?" Because like when I last saw you, you were at 12 million subscribers and now you have double that. He has double the amount of subscribers that he had when I was watching him.
Can't remember the last time I watched one of his videos. It was a long time ago, I can tell you that.
Yeah, yeah, I don't remember the last video I watched of him, but uh, I remember the 12 million special.
Hmm.
So, so like I mean, Dan TDM isn't cringe. I feel like he's more wholesome than cringe.
I haven't watched any of his new content to
Like,
know.
yeah, again, I don't actually know what's going on over
Right.
there.
I'll check him out later.
But
Later
as far
today.
as I remember, he's just like this wholesome guy.
That's
It,
how he was back in the day,
maybe I will
from what I
check out
remember.
his thing.
Yeah.
And then Sunday I just kind of grew out of because his gameplay was targeted towards younger people, and he started playing Fortnite instead of Minecraft. And
Dude,
as we all know, Fortnite
Fortnite
is
bad.
cringe.
Fortnite bad.
No, nothing against him. He's a content creator. He's got to eat. You know, you do what you do.
Right.
Yeah, but Fortnite cringe.
Fortnite bad.
So
Where were we going with this?
there was
Oh,
a
this is the
question.
I have a question. Wow, I forgot my own question. Nice.
Yeah, your question was, what are things that you used to
Right,
find good in your childhood
right,
that
I
you find
remember. So are we
cringe now?
switching to me now, I guess?
Yes.
Okay, because fortunately for me, I'm kind of bouncing back from something I recently thought was cringe, and now I'm like, why? Because this is awesome. I, when I was a kid, loved Transformers. I
Mhm.
loved Transformers. And then around like sixth grade was when, yeah, like the end of sixth grade was when you and all of our friends introduced me to Doctor Who. And I stopped caring about Transformers. And I was just like, Doctor Who is everything. And I just dropped Transformers. I would look at it
I
and I was like,
remember that
wow.
because we were
Yeah,
at. I asked about that. I was like, so you're into Transformers too? And he's like, you go, I used to be.
used to be, right. That was the key word.
I
But
I'm a
recently,
casual. I was a casual viewer of
mhm,
Transformers, and like even now, well, it's been a while since I've watched Transformer show or movie or
mhm.
whatever. The last movie I watched was what was it called? Age of Extinction?
That was not the last one that was put out, but that
No, the
might have
last
been the
one
last one you
that's the
watched.
last one I watched
All
was Age
right.
of Extinction.
That was the second to last Michael Bay Transformers movie.
Yeah, and needless to say, it was action packed, and everyone knows that.
Right, because it's
It's
explosions,
Michael Bay.
explosions. Right. But but for the longest time I would look back on that and being like, "Wow, I liked this." What? But then recently, I started watching Transformers action figures reviews again. And I was like, "Huh, I wonder why I stopped liking this." And then I watched some reviews on the story, like the underlying story that I never even cared about when I was a kid. And I was like, wow, I actually like this storyline that they've got going. I like the history of the Transformers. And so I was like, wow, why do I call this cringe? Why do I hate this? And yeah, now I love Transformers again. It's like
Like a love story.
yeah, it's like for the longest time I was like, what a series, what a series. But now, honestly,
See,
I'm so.
sorry. Go on.
Uh, no, I was just finishing up my sentence. I was just
Okay,
gonna say
yeah.
like,
So, let's see. When I used to watch Transformers, it was that cartoon that was like it wasn't like Gen 1 like the old one. It was the new cartoon. I forget what it was called. It was like
was it
Transformers being
Transformers animated?
yeah, it was animated.
I
It,
watched that one.
it
That
was
one was
like
good.
was it just called Transformers or was it
It
called
was
like
called Transformers Animated. That's what it was called. If that's the series I'm thinking of. Was it like the cartoon style animation, like 2D cartoon?
yeah.
Yeah, that was Transformers Animated.
Well, 2D? No. Not this one. It was the
2D
one
was
where uh it wasn't like the original one. Uh
it Transformers Prime?
maybe. I'm
Because
looking.
I really like Transformers Prime. Like
Was the one
honestly, one
where
of my favorite continuities in Transformers is Transformers Prime.
Starscream was like all silver instead
All
of like
silver.
being
Yeah, that was probably Transformers Prime.
his like red.
He have like the he had like one red like thing at the top of his head. It was like one little strand of hair kind of on the top of his head that went like straight up. He was a skinnier little body. He was tiny. He had like a really pointy chin.
Yeah. The
Oh,
I'm
I'm
looking at
yeah.
the franchise Wikipedia page. Maybe it was Robots
Gotcha.
in Dis. No, it wasn't Robots in Disguise.
No, that was around 2015 when that came out, I think, or
2001.
2014. Oh, you're talking about that Transform? Oh, Robots in Disguise. They made another series called Robots in Disguise, which is confusing, but
Yeah, this was it. Transformers Prime.
that was a good series. I liked it.
Yeah. Transformers Prime. That was the one I used to watch like casually, and I watched
Hmm.
Age of Extinction, and then I was like, you know what, the movie's all right. It's very action packed, and the plot is like
Hmm.
kind of loosely there, but
Right, I can definitely agree with that. I could totally. We could go on a tangent about my scruples against the Michael Bay Transformers movies, but I don't think we want to go there today.
yeah,
We can save
it
that
would
for
take
another time.
some time.
It would, because I could totally dissect that.
Now, now that I say that, I'm kind of seeing the value now more in rewatching stuff. Like I used to be against rewatching stuff, but
Hmm.
now like I'm replaying like rewatching and replaying stuff. So like right now I'm replaying Watch Dogs 2
Hmm.
and I'm playing it on the hardest difficulty, and it combines a really good challenge with now that I'm older and like it's a refresher, I'm remembering more of the story because when I played it the first time, I blasted through that game because I got it at Christmas and I wanted to play it.
Hmm.
So I blasted through that game and I missed a lot of the story beats. Like it was only like fragments that I remembered.
Right, that's how I feel about when like I said, I recently started paying attention to the story of Transformers. I never noticed that as a kid, like any of it. We were watching the Bumblebee with one of our friends' families, and they were like, "You know the backstory of this?" And I was like, "No." And then they explained like the whole thing about being a slave race to the Quintessons and all that, and I was like, "I never knew about this.
Oh,
I
you
don't
didn't know
know,"
about the slave
and it's
race
so
thing?
cool.
That's like
No, I
the
didn't.
that's like the whole thing behind Bumblebee, and he's
I
like sad.
didn't know that.
He's
Yeah,
like
the
the
whole
big
thing.
sad.
Yeah, well, the Bumblebee movie, he's mainly sad about like Cybertron's falling, but I had no idea about the giant backstory of the whole series, and that's really what got me back into it right now. Is the story is just really cool. Like when I was a kid, the gimmick of robots that turned into vehicles and all that was cool, but
And that
now
that was like the
like
thing you focused on.
that was the thing, right? But now it's like, wow, these are like fleshed out characters with like story. They're like there's stuff to it.
There's
There's
stuff here.
sustenance here. There's stuff. It's so cool. I love it.
Yeah, that was kind of the same thing for me with Watch Dogs 2.
Mhm.
Like there was story beats that were important, but I didn't understand the impact of them. Like
Right.
like the big one was Wrench taking off his mask, which I know you don't know who Wrench is or anything like that because you
Right.
haven't
I
played the
don't.
game.
Nope.
But what I figured out was now I'm playing through the mission where he does that, and I haven't finished it yet. But it's called an eye for an eye. Uh, and the big thing about that is his face is scarred, so he's ashamed of his face, and a lot of things like that. But he's just like
Hmm.
this guy who's like he's a really big guy emotionally, and he's like he overreacts to things, and he's like this really bombastic person, but when he takes off his mask and gets serious, you're like, oh, now
Hmm.
this is who Wrench really is. You get to understand that character in a deeper meaning. And yeah, I'm upset that I missed that.
Right.
So for my question,
Hmm.
I was thinking through this. Me and my brother were talking about The Purge, you know that movie, and
Right.
and you know the general idea of it. And we were like,
Yeah.
realistically, what would happen without laws?
So like no laws in general, not like a purge scenario, but what if we had no laws?
Yeah, just no laws, just
No laws.
like
It would be weird if we had no
it
law.
would be interesting. Yeah, it would definitely be weird, but
Yeah,
I'm
it'd be
wondering
fun to
like,
see what would happen, but
what would you think would happen?
societal lapse probably. Too many people trying to fight to take leadership, too many power hungry people maybe trying to, Other people trying to, just make a living, getting killed by the ones who want power. That's how I would see it. Maybe. I could be wrong. The only way to definitively know would be test it, but we're not going to do that.
Yeah, my idea was, if it just suddenly stopped, what would happen, in my opinion, was
Ah.
things would be kind of fine for a few days. People would still be like
Hmm.
doing their thing, you know, and then eventually somebody
Right.
will be like, "Oh wait, I just realized X thing isn't illegal anymore. I'm gonna start doing that." Probably drugs would be the good example of that. Like,
Right.
drug dealers would start to realize, wait, I don't have to I don't have to go through or I don't have to dodge the law or anything anymore to sell my drugs.
Because there is no law.
I'm just gonna
Right.
sell my drugs. So, they build something, and they
Would you
they
still
build
need to sell things? Is the thing. There's no law to regulate economy.
there's no laws to regulate economy, but the economy's still there, at least for now.
Sure.
People
Okay,
will
there
be
you go.
setting
At
their own
least for now.
prices and everything. I feel
Right.
like it would start to end up like similar to a post-apocalyptic community in like Fallout and things like that.
Hmm.
Reminds me a lot of Diamond City. The idea is the idea is you're in this community protected by people with guns, and everyone has a gun. Anyone can shoot anyone. That's how justice is taken care of. So I feel like there would be some sort of rudimentary law where, don't kill people or
Like
other people is going to kill you, or it,
I see, like
revolving
a
around a
law of
lot
the
of,
land kind of.
yeah, like a law of the land.
Ah, that's reasonable. That's
I,
reasonable.
I, I think that's what's going to start to be established over time. I feel like it would take a long time to get that. We may actually have an apocalypse before that happens. And of course, currency would be an interesting thing. I feel like it would just slowly unravel.
Yeah, that'd be fun to watch.
Because even though there is no law, there's still government. They're not telling you so much what to do, but they're still there.
But what would they do though? What would be their purpose?
Manage the economy.
Oh, that would be it. Then they just become one giant bank.
Pretty much.
Ugh.
And then you can just say, we don't need you anymore. And then governments will go away.
Hmm. That's an interesting thought.
Yeah, and you still need, like, there's no, like, laws, but you still have to do stuff. So the president would do
Hmm.
stuff like, hey, we need to do X thing.
Right.
Now, there won't be any laws maintaining the structure. I feel like most things would fall into, like, a monarchy or something similar.
Hmm.
And eventually somebody will think it's a good idea to, hey, we should put some things into writing about why X thing should be like this. You know, laws.
Right.
So I
So
feel like
without laws, more laws would occur.
without laws, laws will come back.
Laws are inevitable.
Laws are inevitable.
Nothing is
That's
certain but death, taxes, and laws.
pretty much. All right. So
Alrighty.
there's our questions, which means, and I
Yeah.
didn't ask for user submitted questions. In fact, I think I'm just going to give up
Oh,
on that until we get more traction.
alrighty, that's valid.
So that's going to be all from us today. Thank you for listening or watching, I guess, if you're on YouTube. But you're not
Yeah.
really watching anything, you're just watching a screen. So I guess listening. Uh, Thank you to all of our listeners, whether you're on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts now.
Whoa.
Leave us a good review if you're on there.
Please do. We need them.
Not like I'm going to check because I don't have an iCloud account,
Oh.
but you do. So maybe you can
Yeah.
check.
Maybe I will.
Maybe we'll read them. That might be
Maybe.
interesting.
That would be cool.
So, I, I am I'm talking in circles as I usually do. Thank you all for listening. If you're new here, you can press that follow, subscribe, or like or whatever, wherever thing you're on. You can hit that button that says I want to be reminded when this thing gets posted.
Yeah,
That button. That
I
one.
like that. I like the way you worded that. That was good.
Just press that one if you're new
That
here
one
and
button
you want
that's
to
right
hear
there.
more. And be sure to check out Extra Life, charity. It's all good. Children's Miracle Network Hospitals, great thing. Great thing they got going on there. And we'll see y'all later. Farewell.
Bye. Bye bye.